So you want to start buying properties so you can travel the world and have income coming in that isn't based on you clocking in and out every single day. And basically, living life on your own terms. But you're kind of terrified of the whole management process. Everyone says real estate is great because passive income. But if you've actually met any real estate investors, real estate is definitely not fully passive. And that whole management process and dealing with guests or tenants is really getting to you and is holding you back from actually investing in real estate. Well, this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to give you a breakdown of all the automated messages that I actually set up to send to my guests whenever I'm traveling, and really just whenever, so I don't have to be glued to my phone managing my own properties. I'm currently traveling around Europe for the next 2 freaking months, but I also have multiple properties across the US that are essentially running themselves. I've had them all pretty much fully booked and functioning since I've been gone. And at this point, I've probably had over 20 guests actually stay across my properties. And no, they aren't even long-term rentals, which are supposed to be the most passive type of real estate investing. I actually have medium-term rentals and short-term rentals, basically Airbnbs. And if you want to learn a little bit more about the different real estate investing strategies, I have other videos in my channel, so make sure you go and watch those to understand what long-term, medium, short-term even means. But so part of the reason that I'm actually able to manage my properties from abroad and not feel super overwhelmed, like I'm getting bombarded with messages every single minute and feeling like I have to be glued to my phone the entire time, is because about 90% of my messages to my guests are fully automated. And they also prevent my guests from needing to reach out with any questions. Now, if you've seen any of my previous videos, you've probably heard me rave about the app Hospitable. And no, I'm literally not even sponsored by them. I do have an affiliate link, so if you want to sign up for it, it's a property management system, but I use it to automate all of my messages to my guests. So like I said, I will put a link in the description so that if you want to check it out and sign up, you just go ahead and click that link. Y'all, I literally try to give you guys all the tea I possibly can in these videos. And I honestly just really hope that it actually helps you guys a bunch. Now, I'm trying really freaking hard to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm at about 750 right now. And I am just so close. I started this channel at the end of last year. And it would just really mean the world to me if you hit that subscribe button, share this with someone who you think may also want to watch this video. Literally, it would really just mean the freaking world. Okay, back to the video. Also, make sure you stay till the end because I am going to be giving you guys a freebie and you do not want to miss it. Trust me, this is going to make your life so much easier when actually getting started with your short-term rental or your medium-term rental. Okay, let's get right into it. The first message that I send to my guests is the new reservation message. So this is when a guest has been scrolling through Airbnb, they found your awesome property, they're like, oh my gosh, this is fabulous, need to book now. And then the second that they book, they get a new reservation message. This message basically thanks them for coming in, booking my property, lets them know maybe a few house rules. I also make sure to let people know to buy trip insurance in the event that for whatever reason they have to cancel their trip, they've got it covered. Just because I, for all of my properties, do have a strict cancellation policy. So after a certain period of time, people won't be able to get their money back just because it's so last minute. And the chances of me getting another booking within that short period of time is slim. So I always make sure to remind people to get trip insurance. That way, both the guest doesn't have to worry about asking you for money if they have to cancel their stay, and then you also don't have to feel guilty about not giving them their money back because you clearly stated that there was a strict cancellation policy and you advised them to get trip insurance. Now, this message is probably going to be your first, maybe second real interaction with the guest. So you definitely want to go into it setting the tone of kind of how you run your property, how excited you are for them to actually come and stay with you. It's basically that first impression after the other first impression, which was actually looking at your listing. Now, the second message that I send out is the reminder before check-in. Now, I usually send these out 7 days before. This is when people are getting ready for their trip. They're probably at work, putting in the hours in so that when they go on vacation, they cannot think about anything everything, go and relax. They've also probably not taken the time to go back and look at your listing, look to see where they're staying, look at any of the house rules. So I like to check in with them, make sure everything's okay, let them know that everything is good to go for their stay coming up. And it also just keeps you top of mind for them. So it really just kind of gets them excited and in the mood for vacation and in a good mood. Now, the third message is going to be your check-in instructions. Your check-in instructions are probably going to be your most important message that you send out. I usually send my check-in instructions 24 hours before they check in. I kind of played around with it a little from 18 hours to 2 days beforehand. I like the 24-hour mark. That's when people are really gonna actually pull up the listing and be like, how are we getting in? What are we doing? La da 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 da. Every once in a while, you might get someone asking about the check-in code and things 2 days beforehand, but I've usually seen it's within those 24 hours that they're looking for that information. But the day before check-in, your guests are getting stoked. They're so ready. You send them this message. It has all of the information that they could possibly need in order to have a great stay and a successful stay. So the check-in instructions, mine tend to be very detailed. I do set it up so that they have any like codes or Wi-Fi codes or check-in codes actually in the message, but then I also refer them over to my guidebook that really goes more into depth about everything they need to know about the property. And some people like to keep their check-in message a lot shorter. I really haven't seen too much of an issue with the length of my check-in message. Even though it is relatively extensive, I find that some people just don't even go and look at the guidebook, if anything. I do like to keep certain things within the check-in message. Another thing to make sure that people actually read your check-in message is don't put your Wi-Fi code and their door code at the beginning of the message or at the very end. Kind of sandwich it in the middle because it forces them to go through and read the check-in message in order to find that information. Now that being said, every once in a while, yes, you are going to get someone who doesn't read the check-in information, but I would say it's honestly been a 90-95% success rate that people do read everything and get all of the information that they need. The fourth message that I like to send is the mid-stay check-in. So this is usually only for people staying longer than 2 to 3 days. So when you get to the 4-day, 6-day, 7-day, longer than that mark, then I'll send a mid-stay check-in. Basically, 3 days after they check in, making sure that everything's okay with their stay. I recommend that they go see something local in the area. For example, in New Orleans, I'm like, go see Crescent Park if you haven't already. And it kind of just notifies them that you're still thinking about them, you have them top of mind, and you hope that they're actually having a great stay. Especially if you're having someone stay for longer than a couple of days. You just want to make sure, too, that they're not having any issues that are going to compound and later on affect your property or affect your ratings. Okay, so quick plug. I have been feeling this need and this desire, almost this calling to help other folks just have the freedom to quit their jobs or even just take a break from corporate America, start house hacking, and kind of have more control over their lives. And so I'm coming out with a new course that goes over literally everything that I did in order to make it happen for me. Essentially, house hacking your way to freedom. So using real estate, using investing as a vehicle to live your dream life. And I'll be putting literally everything in both PDF form and in video form, and later down the line, I kind of want to do monthly calls, but starting off with the PDF and video form, that way everyone can kind of learn at their own pace. And at first, only going to be launching it to a select few people. So if that's something that you're interested in and you want to get on the waitlist for, make sure you actually go to this website, oliviatati.com/waitlist, and you're going to have literally first access to my course. Probably the cheapest the course is ever going to be. So head on over there and you'll literally be the first to know. Okay, so we have a few more really important automated messages to go over. And remember, make sure to stick it out till the end because I'm giving you a freebie, okay? The fifth automated message that I send out is the checkout instructions. Now, I send these out the day before. Some people do morning of, but I find that day before, just make sure people are aware of what they have to do the next morning. Very few minor things. But it's also asking to make sure that they had a great stay, reminding them to give me a review. I actually remind guests all throughout a lot of these messages how important reviews are, just because it kind of starts making them think about, oh, I gotta leave a review, I gotta leave a review. Most of my guests do actually leave a review, and I think a lot of that is because I tell them to so many times. But the checkout message is kind of that closing wrap-up message. Also, it lets them know if they had any issues to let me know, because I hate when people check out of my property and they're like, this was wrong and this was wrong. And it's like, you didn't tell me anything was wrong, otherwise I could have come and helped, or could have gotten someone to come and help. But that checkout message is also an important one to have, even if you have 0 checkout instructions, just because people a lot of the times will actually ask and be like, hey, is there anything I need to do before I leave the property? So just kind of giving them clear instructions, even if it's, you don't have to do anything. That just gives them peace of mind, and that way you don't have to worry about people reaching out to you. Because remember, we're trying to just minimize the amount of direct communication you're having to do, so you're not constantly on your phone having to message guests. Now, the final, and I know I said that the check-in message was the most critical, but this one might be the next most critical, is the review request message. As I told you before, I get a lot of my guests to actually give me a review, but some of them still won't do it right after their stay because you're checking out, there's so much happening, you're trying to get to your next destination, or you're trying to go home. You don't have time to sit down and write a review, right? But it's about in that those 3 days after your trip, you've settled down, you're back into your routine, that a lot of people will now be ready to actually leave a review, especially if they had a positive experience and they're thinking back on what a fantastic time they had at your property. This is the perfect time to reach back out to them and be like, hey, if you haven't left a review, please make sure to leave a review. And the cool thing about Hospitable is it can detect if the person has already left a review or not. So if they already have, it actually won't even send this message out. So it's more just for those people who haven't left a review yet. But in the short-term rental industry, reviews are literally everything. And so if your guests aren't leaving you reviews, you're probably not going to get more guests. It's like this whole cycle. So those are my 6 critical messages, automated messages, that I make sure to send out to every single one of my guests. But now for the freebie, because now that I've told you what all of these messages are, so you're aware of what kind of needs to be sent out, a lot of people still struggle with what actually needs to be in every single one of those messages, like the actual copy of what to send to guests. And so I am giving you a freebie that is all of my automated messages in a template form, so you can kind of just go in and plug and chug for your property. So you're literally gonna get word for word exactly what I send out to all of my guests. And it's also gonna include some extras like new booking inquiry message, or a payment issue message, or my automated reply to early check-in or late checkout, or people wanting to use bikes. So literally plenty of good content for you, and that way you're not having to reinvent the wheel. It should save you a lot of hours of just coming up with all of these messages. And it's definitely something I wish I had when I started, because I kind of just went in and started making them up as I went along. But you're gonna wanna go to this website. Make sure to actually check your junk mail. I know sometimes it accidentally gets sent to your junk mail, but that way you get all of the messages. And if you wanna learn more about how to actually get 5-star reviews consistently on your short-term rentals, make sure to watch this video here, because I go through all of my tips on how I'm able to consistently get 5-star reviews on my properties. I have had over 100 reviews. I'm averaging, I believe, a 4.98 over those hundreds of reviews. So you're really gonna wanna check out this video too.